Hi everybody, my name's Alan. On behalf of the crew, I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Bridging Heaven and Earth. You know, as most of you know, we've done these shows for years and years and years, and we've done many, many shows with extraordinary people from all over the planet. And usually, you know, these shows open with me giving, introducing the guest and, talking about what's going on and, what the experience is and what the show's about and what it's dedicated to and what, why we do it, why we come together, and why the consistency of our dedication, the consistency of our intention to be here and to share with you. And usually before I start speaking, I meditate, just try to come to a place of realization and recognition and experience of what I would call the love and the oneness. And when I did that today, the expression that came to me over and over again was, together we can. And, I've used that before, in different contexts, but now there's so much opportunity and so much intention on this planet and so much need for us to together we can, for us to recognize the value of each one of us and to recognize the value of each one of us coming together in creativity, in collaboration, in connection, in recognition of our humanness, of our godhood, of our love, of our oneness, of that the Father and I are one, and the Father and I are one of all of us. That there is one Father, there is one energy, we are all that. And that is our recognition, that is our family, that is our connection. And to vibrate that and to share that, to feel that love, to feel that connection, and to share it and to come together beyond as brothers and sisters. That's a start, but as pieces of truth, as lovers of love. And be together and come together as one. To build those new paradigms, to allow love to reign on this planet, to allow the feelings of separation and division and loneliness to be swept away in a wave of connection, of love, of collaboration, of creativity. And we know together we can. And if we're not together, we can't. If we're not in recognition of that, if we're not praying to be able to come together and collaborate joyously and lovingly. What's happening here is almost, in a sense, insurmountable. Because there's been disharmony, in a sense, for so much earth time. And now is the time that together we can. And so, why do we come together here at Bridging? Why are there, 15 crew people who've worked for hours and hours to try to get every camera working properly and every audio working properly and the lighting just right? To be able to spread that love, to be able to bring these words and these videos and these pieces of art and this extraordinary guest that is coming to share with us and you, to get that message, to get that vibration out to the world. And now things are available with the new paradigms being built literally instantaneously for free all over the world. And so, in a sense, it's easier for us to together we can. It's just that slight remembrance, that slight realization of that we are one. That we are love. So what do you say? Together we can. And really, there's so much opportunity. And if someone doesn't know how to do it, call us. We know people all over the planet who are engaged and intending and trying and loving and experiencing and making those collaborations and those connections available individually and collectively in group ways and projects and all different kinds of ways. So if you're in a place that you don't really know how to do that, after going within and you need to go without, then contact us and we'll, wherever you are, we'll talk about an extraordinary art project that we're involved in, a healing art project. Be involved in that. But remember, together we can. So tonight's guest is, dedicated to love, dedicated to consciousness, dedicated to vibrating love and sharing it. Cynthia Sue Larson's a life coach. She's an author. She's the author of 2 extraordinary books, Reality Shifts and Aura Advantage. And she helps people access and develop their intuition, their connection, their recognition. Her articles have appeared in magazines all over the world. And she teaches workshops all over the world about consciousness and love and connection and truth and creativity. And as most of you know, we usually show 2 extraordinary videos on the show. And tonight, once again, we have 2 of those. One is by Cynthia, a beautiful music piece that she sang and played a guitar. And the other one is Regina Perlmutter, has this beautiful Alumina, the Light Princess. It's a character she created for children, for connection, to bring children into that recognition. And you will see that. And as most of you know, also, we're in the middle of an extraordinary, came as a dream, it came as a vision, an international healing art project. And that art project came to allow people to come together, to collaborate, that anybody can produce a new original piece based on the theme Bridging Heaven and Earth, any age, any size, any format, just the intention of healing, the intention of acupuncture for the planet. And when I tell you pieces have been coming in from all over the planet that are so powerful and so beautiful and so many different styles and so many different shapes and glass and acrylics and oils, and now we're getting a lot of digital art because people are getting into that, and collages and photographs. But the intention is to heal, the intention is to come together, the intention is love. So we have 2 tonight, Greg Patch and Cynthia's also done a piece. So Cynthia's involved in every aspect of tonight's show. She's the guest, she has a piece of art, and she has a video. So you're going to see a lot of Cynthia, which you're very fortunate to do. So let me read this about Greg's piece that you're looking at now. It's called Green Blue Weber. It's beeswax natural pigment on latke paper. When I first read it, I thought it was some sort of Jewish delicacy, but it's obviously not. Okay, so this is what he says about when he created this piece. Using similar color ideas, the concept for the Weber originated as a continuation of the Chakra Rising series. The words wave, weave, and web are derived from the Proto-Indo-European root word Weber. Within a template symbol, Weber employs 3 basic rays: red, green, orange, blue, and yellow, violet. A symbolic representation of the Weber on 7 color fields creates a whole having 21 separate panels. The textured pattern of the latke Nepal paper augments the overall pattern within the panels by solidifying its foundation. Weber is symbolic of the internal and external relationships between opposing concepts of us and them. Symbolic levels also include heaven and earth and water, fire and air, matter and non-matter, diet and well-being, inhaling and exhaling, and di and da. It is the system expressed as an interconnected whole. In art, there has traditionally been realism and abstraction. Artists are beginning to bridge this gap and to recognize and formalize a holistic picture, real and abstract. Weber maintains the individuality and quality of each within a holistic relationship, while creating a separate entity within the unique character of each piece. There is a quantum moment within a process when these merged perspectives bring forth the world in its totality. The work becomes a self-portrait as well as a portrait of a culture. Artists are beginning to couple their new understanding of wholeness to the greater community. In the Weber paintings, this pattern appears at a level where old and new meet, link, renew, and weave together again. Modernists are reconnecting to our roots and traditional cultures. This work can be symbolic of the basis of life, DNA, the Caduceus. The Weba is infinite. So, I mean, people, when they put in this work and this art and this manifestation of that creation, there's so much intent and so much concentration and so much love given to it. Just, if you have some time and you want to be inspired, go to Heaven to Earth Art, heaventoearthart.com, and just start flipping through and go to the artist page where a lot of them have given, you know, when they talk about their art piece and when they give poems about their art piece, it is so uplifting and so inspiring, and their art itself is so beautiful. So now join me in a short meditation, and then we'll have the video, and then Cynthia will be with us. Hi everybody. So the first video is Cynthia, music and voice and beautiful, and you'll see Cynthia when you get back after the video, so enjoy.
How can I tell you what it means to me to see the world within my dreams? Everything out there is inside of me, and where I go is where I need to be. It's alright, it's okay, the world works fine for me this way. Animals talk to me inside my head. When I'm sleeping, they're in my bed. They know much more than people think they do, and sometimes they tell me what's really true. It's alright, it's okay, that world works fine for me this way. I feel like sometimes I just don't fit in when people tell me that it's sink or swim. I do my best to toe the party line, but I can't be pretending all the time. It's alright, it's okay, that world works fine for me this way. One day I hope the time is going to come when everyone feels the true warmth of the sun. People will finally understand the truth, that everything out there is inside of you. It's alright, it's okay, that world works fine for me this way. Alright, it's okay, it's going to be fine when the world is away. You're thinking all the time. One day when you least expect it, you're going to find that you're well connected. Alright, it's okay, it's going to be fine when the world is away. You're thinking all the time. Alright, it's okay, it's going to be fine when the world is away. You're thinking all the time.
Hi everybody, welcome back. So that was Cynthia who was singing and wrote that beautiful song. And the picture you're seeing in between us is the picture you were seeing before, Blue Green Weba by Greg Patch. He's from Surf City, North Carolina, the United States. Literally pieces have been coming in from all over the world. So if anybody wants to join us, please, please do. It's an opportunity to be creative, to be collaborative, to be part of something that's about healing, about acupuncture, about healing the heart of the planet. So Everybody is welcome. Go to the website, look at some of those pieces, and if you're inspired, get in touch with us. Everyone is welcome. It's infinite and it's inclusive. So Cynthia, speaking of infinite and inclusive, here you are.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about that song and what made you do it and write it and sing it and send it. And
Yeah, that song is inspired by a book that I wrote, Kimball and the Dreamweaver's Web, and it's a children's book, but it's for children who are young at heart people too. And Kimball is the main protagonist, and she can hear what animals are thinking. She knows what their thoughts are. She's able to communicate with them and with spirits and astral travel and lucid dream, but none of these kind of buzzwords are used in the story. So it's a very natural story about what it's like to be highly intuitive as a child, and how these kinds of what we might consider extraordinary gifts and talents can actually be quite normal, that we're all basically open to them. And I think having it in a story where there's a mystery and she's solving a mystery at swim camp makes it exciting. So it's a real page turner. And the song itself is the heart of the character, just the feelings that she's having about being different and feeling like she can hear what's on an animal's mind, and these voices are coming to her all the time. You can't necessarily turn them off, not when it first comes in. So it's pretty special to me.
oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, you could really feel
Yeah.
how attached you were to that in that good sense. So why don't you talk a little bit about intuition and, how as children we almost have more of it, and then the arc turns and we kind of lose it and we, go more to reason in a way. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, I love that topic. There's something I've written about often. It's in my book, Or Advantage, and I discuss how synesthesia is that blurring of the senses. Most of us have that ability when we're quite young, that when we hear a noise or see something, it all comes together. We don't decide that was a noise or this is something that we're seeing. And when I was an infant, I could see colors just waving through, and if there was a sharp noise, there'd be a sudden flash of light, and it would be jolting. And I think you can see this with a lot of infants. They'll jump when something's happening, and there's no way they could have known what was happening because their awareness is spread out. And we're all like that when we're young. So we have the ability to sense energy and see beyond, feel beyond, hear beyond, sense beyond. And so it's something that when we have the time and emphasis of meditating and getting in touch with this oneness that you talk about, that's when people can open this up again and can return to that sense of perfect health, perfect healing, and it's an extraordinary experience.
And so would you say that as we grow into being a human being and come into all the things that are reasonable and all the things that are more concrete, we begin to lose that connection, and then this is the time when we're really there's much more energy to come back into that?
Yeah, I'd say that's a good summary. In this Western world, many of us get inculcated into this Western way of thinking, which is like when I was growing up, my dad would say math is the prince of the sciences, and certainly in America, when we learn about math and science, it's very analytical, very rational, and so it's very much that kind of left brain thinking where we're very lockstep and rigid, and everything has a name and a place. But that's not really the way the universe is. So at this time, like you're referring to, this time of a great awakening that's happening on the planet, more people are balancing between the intuitive and the analytical. So that's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
And one of your main destinies or goals or intentions is to really bring people back into that sense of intuition, that sense of wonder, that sense of childlikeness. Why don't you talk a little about that?
Well, I work as a spiritual life coach, so I see my goal and my role as helping people understand where they're starting from and be okay with that, be good with that, embrace that. And so I like to give them a safe place to know that whatever's happening, first of all, that's okay, right where they are, and to feel that they're being held in that love, embraced in that. And then from there, it's possible to assess what's going on, to help get a sense of how better to align their lives with where they'd like to be, to ask that question, how good can things get, and start looking at the cup as half full rather than half empty, really appreciating what's happening. and then to look deeper and to learn how to feel deeper, how to make that connection. And I love to help people individually understand how they're getting this information, because everybody is so different, and some people have sort of a knowingness, and some people can actually literally hear things, and some people get dreams that guide them. So just knowing which path is going to work for them, and what's really going well right now, and what they have the capacity to develop. Just like you have a physical athletic coach to help you with that sort of thing, I do very intuitive coaching and very spiritual. If they want to get in touch with their guides and they don't know how to do that, then that's something that's wide open. Most people can do that. Some people would love to do that and they feel blocked. And some people would love to feel this oneness that you talk about, and they feel blocked. And sometimes it can take a while to break through those blockages. But I'm an eternal optimist. I believe we can all access it. Just keep trying. Even if a person is born blind, for example, they can still sense what sunlight is like, and they can still get that experience. So, and then there are people that are miracle workers and can take someone who is blind and help them see again. And I believe that possibility is always open. So then I've seen so many miracles already. That's the reason I'm such a believer. Otherwise, I wouldn't be quite as strong a believer. I'd think, well, it's possible. But I really get excited about the things that are available to all of us, the possibilities that are open, just because I've seen things literally come out of thin air, miracles basically, in all different walks of life and places. So.
Yeah, we talk a lot about that, we're hurtling through space on a ball.
Yes.
I mean, that is so miraculous and so unreasonable in a sense that we're here and we're doing all this stuff and we shoot a television show and we're hurtling. Right. And how we keep everything, gravity or whatever. I mean, so once we come to that in a sense, that's unreasonable.
Exactly. Just
and
the
so
fact that we're here at all is
unreasonable. And that's the miracle, looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
Is the great
It's
miracle.
really against most odds. And when you start looking at that, then you understand the power of intention, and that we really are much more multidimensional, much more multilinear in terms of time, that we're affecting our own past as well as our own future. And so these are the kind of ideas that I like to work with people.
And how did you, as a human being, I mean, everybody has their story, and, people have heard my story probably ad nauseum by now, but, how did you, come from this little child who had these gifts, and was that encouraged in your family, or was that put down? And we've had stories where, this one beautiful being, Gina Gidio, had shock treatments and was sent for exorcisms because he was tremendously gifted as a healer as a child. Right. How was your childhood like in that way?
Well, my parents were open-minded. My father, when I was quite young, called himself an atheist, though, which was good, actually, because then I'm able to be open with people who believe there is no God. I can see that point of view, and so I don't shut those people out and say that's wrong. And then my mother was... she was an agnostic, and then my grandmother, my mother's mother, was very, very spiritual, and she was a Lutheran. So what I could see when I would visit her house is the angels, basically. So back home where I was growing up, I'd be haunted by negative entities, which would kind of drag me down, literally pull me down when I'm trying to do a flying dream. So I had to learn to deal with that in my home life. But I couldn't talk about it with my parents. I could talk about this sort of thing with my grandmother, and we talked for hours about angels and so forth. So I had some encouragement just on the edge of my family. My grandmother didn't live with us, but she was close enough, and I got enough time to see the path of a truly spiritual person who gives her life to the divine source, to God, and the way that she did that. And then my parents gave me quite a blessing by taking me to the sacred sites of the world. Every summer for like 2 or 3 months, they'd pull me out of school early, and my sister and my parents, we'd travel to places where people had never seen white people before. That was my father's dream, basically to go to places before they were changed, before this globalization of the planet really hit. So I'd have visits with headhunters in very distant villages, places that now you can see them on TV, but back when I was traveling in the 1970s, this was not common at all. And with the ability that I have to be intuitive, I sensed the energy of these places, that there's a truth, that these very spiritual places have strong energies. And I don't see this as an accident in retrospect. When I look back at my life, I think, that was perfect
Right.
to get that sense. And then later in life, I had a Kundalini awakening at age 32, which I could use the whole show up on that, so I don't want to go into too much detail. But basically, that awakened my chakras, and
Did anything particular?
wow. Oh yeah, wow. You know when you're having a Kundalini awakening.
Right.
Because there's nothing like it. One of the things that everybody can relate to is I'd wake up every night looking at a digital clock, basically spirits waking me up, or this energy, these shock waves of energy, at 1:11, 2:22, on the dot, 3:33, 4:44, and 5:55 every night for 2 weeks straight when I was in the thick of this very intense experience.
So you don't know anything that's particularly triggered it?
I wanted to wake up.
Oh,
I
so
wanted
there was
to
a
know-
tremendous hunger and intention.
Yeah, I felt like I'd overslept. This is about 9 months previous. And then my husband at the time had an epiphany, and he felt that he'd experienced this oneness, this sense of God being present with him.
Wow.
And that was it. I think that's what I'd been waiting for. Like, oh, good, now I can wake up and this won't be a complete mess. It turned out to be difficult for the relationship anyway, but it was good timing, so yeah, it helped. And so I think that was the trigger for all of this. And then suddenly I was literally seeing things that are invisible to most people, that were moving me physically, that were doing things to the physical world. So
Was it always blissful for you, or were there times when it was just so unusual?
that was not blissful. I mean,
It was not
I was
blissful.
resisting the Kundalini awakening, and I think maybe it's normal. Even though I wanted to know the true reality, the fact that
Not that way.
yeah,
No, there is, be careful what you wish for kind
right,
of thing.
right. And so a lot of what was happening to me was shocking. There were times when I felt that things were happening to the house. There were sticks and stones, matching my moods, by the way. So what had to happen for me was I had to regulate my own internal storms, because they would start externalizing, literally. So that was interesting, to say the least. But I like to be a normal person. I think that was the conflict I was having. I want to be normal, but this is happening. I want to be normal, but the truth about knowing our true identity and what's real is that we are all powerful, much beyond what we normally recognize. Phenomenal.
Yeah, we have this, whatever you think you are, you're more.
Yeah. And just think of the power it takes to maintain normalcy. I mean, that's quite a lot of energy devoted to that. So there was that little battle going on, to simplify it.
But your husband had that experience, so it wasn't like he was putting pressure on
He
you.
could see it happening. He saw the sticks and stones hitting windows, and I said, "Is there anyone out there? Is there wind?" Nope. And other strange things happened. Right, and that was in the.
Did
thick
you have
of
any
it.
spiritual help at that time? or
Lots of help, yes.
Oh, so
And that's what was part of that too, was learning how to bring that in, to be strong and maintain that balance, so that the chaos doesn't take things over, I guess.
No, I think part of any experience like that is growing into a discernment.
Right.
It's just like it comes like as a shock of how, in a way,
Yeah.
for a lot of people.
It was a
how,
huge shock.
how vast it is and how infinite it is.
But I needed that shock in order to step more fully into what I'm doing now, because I'd been coming from a place where I was working as a project manager at Citibank, in the data center, working with information security, very, very left brain stuff. And I had a physics degree, so that I'd had years and years of inculcation in that very analytical, very left brain way of thinking. And so this was bringing balance.
Yeah, just a tremendous trauma to
It
shock
was a
you out of
trauma
it.
just to get to that balance.
Right.
Because I wanted to get there, and it was pretty gentle in retrospect. I've heard of worse Kundalini experiences,
Yeah, I've heard a lot worse.
a lot worse.
Yeah, where people are really just flat
Sure.
for a long period.
Yeah, right. And it can kill. It can be lethal. So I don't want to scare people, but
Right.
it's it's good.
But not, if we can really learn, and the gift we could offer is if people can kind of let go into it, and surrender into it.
Yeah, trust the process.
If you want it,
If you want it,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
And if it starts happening and you're in it anyway, then
You
know
might
that
as-
you've got help.
Right.
Yeah.
That'll be all right. You'll come out
It's
the
gonna
other
be all right.
side.
Yep.
and better, and,
Right.
and really more of what you want.
That's really true, because that's what happened. I think I'd been so organized and so detail-focused and such a perfectionist and such a person to plan out every little detail of my life. And now that's not the way I do things. Like the way you do your show. There's not a script, but it's more a free flow of what's happening. And that's the way I do everything now. And that's like night and day from where I used to be.
Yeah, I know. I mean, well, we're taught like that. I mean, that's the safety of our world is,
Right.
You know, it's like kids on the beach. You put down a couple of towels, so they know that this is my area. And the infinite is too big and too great, but it actually isn't. That's where we're really at home.
And I love that. I like that leap when you get to that place and know that this is all mine. This is all my family. These are all my relations. You know, this is one big connected place. But you're right. To start off with, we do need our towel. Like in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you need to know where your towel is.
Well, it's interesting because, as a child, you really don't.
You don't, yeah.
And then you come into that, you're the separate being with a separate family, and then you start to.
Right.
And then you get more and more like a blockhead, just everything's more concrete.
And we
in a
believe
fluid
it,
world.
Because we get labels,
right.
we get the names, we think we know it when we have a label on it. And that's certainly true in physics. That's one thing I noticed. We don't really know what's behind gravity. There's still more theories that say that the way we look at it now is wrong. So that's interesting. And just the fact that we have this label on it, we think we know.
Then we think we know, and everything's done, and we're fine with it. Right. Okay, maybe we'll come back to that. We'll do the second video. It's a beautiful video. It's Alumina, the Light Princess. Regina Perlmutter did a beautiful piece. It's a new character. Hopefully there'll be children's books about it and all kinds of stuff. So it's a special thanks to Regina and Leah Zana for making it available to us. Alumina, the Light Princess. Enjoy.
My deep concern for the environment led me to create a character called Alumina, the Light Princess, who's actually from the future Earth where there is only love, peace, and joy. And the reason people are experiencing love, peace, and joy is that they have learned that we're all connected and that we're connected with Mother Earth and with the animals and with the trees, and we have learned to treat all of nature with the love and the respect and the honor that it deserves, including ourselves. So Alumina, the Light Princess, teaches children how to love and honor themselves, and that their bodies and their shapes, and that they are perfect exactly as they are.
So boys and girls, since I'm here, let me ask you another question. Do you love the dolphins? Oh, I thought so. And I bet you there's some other animals in the ocean that you love. Who else? What other animals in the ocean do you love? Just yell them out. Sharks. Oh, you love the sharks. Oh, wow.
I developed a deep love for Mother Earth, who is as real to me as you are. Her spirit is so real to me. I'm hoping that Alumina, the Light Princess, is going to convey that deep, sincere love and open children to that possibility as well, because it is only by truly connecting back with nature that we can heal our planet. I believe the reason we have such an imbalance at this time is because we've all lost our connection to the animals, to the trees, and to Gaia, who is the ancient Greek goddess, or the spirit of that is the earth.
I love this planet, our Mother Earth, so very much. And the Greek people from long ago, they had a very special name for our Mother Earth. They used to call her Gaia. Now, Gaia is the one who feeds everybody and everything on the earth. All your vegetables and all your fruits come from her. And Gaia, our Mother Earth, she has feelings. She loves us all so very much that she keeps giving and giving and giving. Gaia is our mother, the spirit of the earth. She gives us all her loving in each moment from our birth. Gaia has a heartbeat, it beats in every heart. She tells the sun to go to sleep at night, and when the morning light should start, We're Gaia's boys and girls, Gaia's boys and girls. She is one in a million, she's the heart of this world. We're Gaia's boys and girls, Gaia's boys and girls. We must love and protect her, let her beauty unfurl. Oh Gaia, oh Gaia, oh Gaia. Oh Gaia, oh Gaia, oh Gaia. She gives the flowers all their perfume. She tells the birdies when to sing. She paints the sky in gorgeous colors. She gets the eagle to take wing. She gives us water when we're thirsty. She gives us luscious foods to eat. She gives us sun and moon and rainbows. She is the ground beneath our feet. Yeah, we're Gaia's boys and girls, Gaia's boys and girls. She is one in a million, she's the heart of this world. We're Gaia's boys and girls, Gaia's boys and girls. We must love and protect her, let her beauty unfurl. Oh Gaia, oh Gaia, oh Gaia. Oh Gaia, oh Gaia, oh Gaia. Oh Gaia, oh Gaia, oh Gaia.
She is now available for children's birthday parties and for any event, festival, for any group from 5 children to 1,000.
So many, 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 many miracles. Holidays,
Celebrations,
congratulations,
dads and moms,
brothers and sisters. So many, 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 many miracles.
Hi everybody, welcome back. So that was Alumina the Light Princess. Thank you, Regina and Leah, for letting us have that. It's so beautiful. So why don't you talk, Cynthia, about this beautiful acrylic on canvas, seeing through the eyes of the heart.
Yes.
You know, how did you come to do that in the art project?
Well, this is kind of cute. I like the idea of getting the heart chakra open, and really, to me, that's the key of how we see heaven on earth. That's the experience of recognizing that everything is here that we possibly need, and that we're so much more than we realize. So this is my rather playful vision of that. Because when you look at it, you look like you're seeing through the eyes of the heart, but these are cute little love bugs, basically. And to me, that's the key, is just opening up the heart and then seeing that there's so much joy there. Perhaps it brings you back to a childlike state of wonder. And I like to leave art free to people to interpret for themselves, but that's my take on it.
Right. And you do a lot of work or play with reality shifting and things like that. Why don't you talk about that? And that's the name of your new book, right?
Yes, I've got a book called Reality Shifts When Consciousness Changes the Physical World. And basically, my website, Reality Shifters, is all about that as well. And that's the way that I like to open the door to include the theme for tonight's program, including people to share their stories about reality shifts and things when they've noticed that something has appeared or disappeared, transformed or transported. These spontaneous healings, for example, that happen so often. It's not as rare as doctors would have us believe. So these are the kind of things I encourage people to share in order to open up that awareness that we're all able to change reality. So that's also what the book is about. It shares stories from myself and others who have noticed that reality is not what we tend to think it is. There's so much more to it. So there's a sample of the book on my website, and you can, of course, read all of the articles and the newsletters there too. But I see my role in the world as helping people understand that we are much more than we think we are, and we can collectively create, basically, like your show is all about, a heaven on earth, by keeping that question, how good can it get, in the forefront of our minds, and being very collaborative, very win-win focused, so that rather than trying to claw our way to the top, we can embrace and encompass one another and share what we have with one another and develop our own gifts in ways that are mutually supportive. So
And do you see that there's more and more openness to that as we're coming into, this period of what people call great transition?
I actually do see more openness to it, just in terms of movies that are out right now, like The Secret, and that was very big. What the Bleep Do We Know? This sort of thing. And these became mainstream hits, so that people all over the planet, certainly across all of America, are starting to recognize that there's a definite mind-body connection, certainly, and that there's something even bigger than that going on. So regardless what a person's religious perspective might be, what their beliefs might be, I think there's increasing tolerance, respect, and openness to these very ancient truths that I think most of our wise people the world over have been aware of for millennia. So it's, I think there's a maturation process happening. So there's been this time of very young planethood, of people feeling like maybe teenagers on a planetary level. America seems younger than that sometimes because it's a relatively new country. I lived in Switzerland, which celebrated its 700th anniversary when I was there, and compared to that, America is very young. And then you look at other places in the world, and we're extremely young here. So, but then on a planetary level, we can look at the change in consciousness that's been happening also. And I think it's quite noteworthy. We're definitely at a time of transition, and we can feel it. We can feel just in the changes that are happening with reality shifts. More and more of them are happening, so they're considered commonplace. When I started the website 10 years ago, it seemed like people were just like, wow, something amazing happened. And now people are much more matter of fact, like, yeah, something appeared out of nowhere, or something showed up that I wasn't expecting. And it's much more commonplace, which is good.
And would you say, I know you've written a children's book and all that, that children are coming in, they call them Indigo Children or Crystal Children. Why don't you talk to that a little bit, so much more gifted and, hopefully not be drawn into the disharmony and the separation as much.
Right. I think I probably was one of those children myself, because when I got here, I actually thought I was on the wrong planet. Because I could remember what it was like before I was born. So I really intimately relate to these kids that are here now. The indigos who remember what it was to be alive before. And they have a knowingness, so they don't really want to buy into the dominant paradigms that maybe previously have been pushed down people's throats. They don't buy into that. They know that at their core, they're good. They know that they remember things that might not be taught currently. And they can tell when there's an intrinsic truth to something. And the crystal kids, they have a clarity that's just phenomenal. They have the power of uplifting people. They have this clarity to them that just rings like truth. So, without going into a whole bunch of detail on that, but I think most of the kids being born at this time are very special. And that's part of what inspired me to write that book, Karen Kimball, because I wanted to have something that felt real to me, not just fantasy. I love Harry Potter, but I actually got bothered when I read those stories. I felt like, wait a minute, they're writing about this like they're sort of laughing at it, like they don't think these sorts of things are true. I know some people get inspired by it, but I felt sort of annoyed. So that's what got me inspired to write about that. And as far as the kids themselves, I think most of us have met some children, and you can look in their eyes and just see that they've got a wisdom to them that is amazing, just like looking into the eyes of someone that's lived thousands of years. So we're getting a lot more of those kind of kids right now.
And the way I look at it, there's an energy shift, and the quantum and the 100th monkey theory, and we've talked about that on the show before, and that we're getting to places where big shifts happen, like all of a sudden you reach a certain point energetically and the Berlin Wall falls. And now we're, reaching other points where new paradigms are like popping up. Why don't you talk a little bit about that, about the energies that are coming in now and the whole quantum aspect of it?
Right. Well, I've been fascinated by this for some time because some of the spiritual traditions of the Hopi, for example, they talk about this being the fifth world and that we're coming to a time of prophecy, really, when so many things that had been foretold are happening, like things that had been long dead are coming back to life. And we've got that network of wires, communication wires crossing the planet and so forth. And that dovetails very nicely with the stories from the other cultures, such as the Mayans, and of course 2012, which is rapidly becoming a buzzword. So I think it's clear from the ancient traditions that we can see this is all converging right now. The times are changing, and we're definitely very much surfing that wave. So I think for those of us who are light workers, we know this is happening, because sometimes we wake up and we feel, because we're so sensitive to energies, we might be feeling like, what's going on? I just feel like I'm in a fog today, or I feel sadness and I don't know why. But there's much more of a unification of consciousness happening, and we're much more collectively steering this spaceship Earth than we've ever done before. So pulling together, knowing that collectively when we do our inner work, then we're more able to help heal everyone and everything else too, just as we're all part of one another's lives in this one big collective matrix, this planet. We can make a big difference together. Hope that answered your question.
No, it's interesting because, as I said when I was meditating, at the opening, the thing that came to me was together we can, and basically that's what you described now. So it's an interesting time that really I think that, in some ways is really a key, that together we can. Right. And that the days of, separation, even in the spiritual world, separate paths and separate gurus and separate traditions and, clearly once you have an experience of the infinite and oneness, you kind of send the tradition back. You send the boat back. Right. Go get somebody else with this boat, because, love doesn't have a tradition. Love doesn't have a history.
And love is such a key for us, just getting in touch with that open heart. And I think when we realize that what we're doing on an individual basis is that's how we can heal the planet. Just working on yourself does make that big a difference. And that's something that people don't seem to be as clearly aware of as I wish they were. Just that whole concept of fractal patterns, for example. With mathematics, you can see that there's a repeating pattern. And if you look at one small part of it, it's the same as the whole thing. That's the way our consciousness works too. And so when we work on ourselves, we are working on the planet, on the universe, on the multiverse. So it's extraordinary. And to me, it starts with the heart. It starts with that heart-centeredness. Because I can share a story with you. It's something that happened to me in San Francisco. I think most people can relate to arriving late to meet with friends for lunch. And what happened is I missed the BART train that I was supposed to be on. But there's no such thing as an accident. So it was meant to be that I got there too late. And the friends that I was planning to meet, they weren't where I was supposed to meet them. I guess they figured I wasn't showing up. So they had left. And downtown San Francisco in the business financial district, well, it's restaurant heaven. If you're going there to have lunch, it's perfect because there must be hundreds of restaurants there. So it's a needle in a haystack situation. Rather than giving up, because I know that we can all be connected and we can all tune into things, I just decided to do what I know works so well, which is to open up my heart. And I tend to be pretty open-hearted. But anytime things really start going wrong, I recommend that everybody listening and watching this do the same thing. Just remember that you can ask, how good can this get? You can open your heart more fully, because usually what's happening is we're closing it up and we're feeling like, oh dear, I'm late, and we can blame ourselves, get kind of cranky about it. Like, they should have told me where they were going. They should have left a note. Why didn't they think of this? All these sorts of things. But I knew that wasn't the point. And so there's no note and there's no message, and the people there in the lobby have no clue where these people went. That's okay. So then I know what to do. And it's very much a light worker thing to do, to open up my heart, which is what I did. I just opened it up fully till it was just way outside my body, till it was just bigger than the building, just expanding, just feeling that I'm at perfect peace and I'm exactly where I need to be. And I walked out with the intention that, just like when I find lost things at home, I do the same thing. I just open my heart and walk to, let my feet take me to where I need to go, let my hands reach to where it is, and there it is. So it's very simple. Decided I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to walk to where they are. So I walked outside. There was a light mist falling, and I walked through that, and it felt perfect. It wasn't at all discomforting. I felt like this is more of the perfection, this perfect San Francisco fog. And I just let my feet carry me to a place. I saw a sign for a restaurant that said Faz, but there was no restaurant there. But I knew that Faz was right. The sign was right. And my feet just kept walking me up to something that was an elevator, which I never would have guessed it was there. And I pushed the right button out of a whole bunch of buttons, went up to the right floor, opened the door opened, walked in, walked right up to where the waitress was seating people, and I could see my friends at their table, and their jaws were like on the floor. I'd showed up just a few moments really after they'd gotten there. They hadn't even ordered anything. You know, it was amazing.
Wow.
But we can all do this. My point is, it's all about opening the heart. It's something we tend to not do, especially when we're in crisis, or when the doctor tells us you have 3 months to live. That's usually what they should be saying is open your heart. You know, this is a time to really be with that oneness. This is a time, if you believe in miracles, if you believe in spiritual healing, this is a time to let that happen. And the same thing is true for finances and everything else, and for bringing this whole planet together, getting through these tumultuous times, because there's more chaos now as well. And we see that here in the studio, you know, with little things going funky with the electrical and the sound system. But when you bring that unifying force of love together, then everything works.
And so, I mean, how would you, if people are listening all over the world and saying, you know, great, how do I do that? How do you have any recommendations for people? How can they open their heart in a situation where, you know, fear is coming in, uncertainty is coming in,
Right.
You know, all the ideas and concepts that my friends won't like me, I'm late, why they're schmucks, I'm a schmuck, you know, the whole,
Right.
you know, how do we stop that and start opening the heart?
Well, there are many ways to get there, and I like to work with each individual because different people have different blocks, and I know it sounds simple, like you just open your heart. You know, some people can do that because they remember what it feels like to be in that state of grace. They've been blessed to have been present with maybe a great master, or that sense of near-death experience where they realize who they really are. So anybody who's been through something like that has a touch point to return to. Or maybe they've had an epiphany. So just remembering that perhaps you've had such an experience, and then realizing that little experience is the grain, the gem, the crystal, which is going to bring forth all this light. That's usually an easy, fast track to get there. But anyone can access this through practice as well, just making it a practice of being aware of the heart, breathing to it. There's something that I do with a lot of people to just put their hand on their heart, just to help be aware of that chakra, that energy center, and recognize that you can intend that you're accepting and receiving the unconditional divine love from everyone who's ever loved you, that you can just breathing that in with each breath, and really knowing it's safe to receive that. Often we're just clenched up and we're resisting it, and then breathing in and accepting and receiving the unconditional divine love from everyone and everything that loves you right now, including the trees and everything around you. And then breathing in and accepting and receiving the unconditional divine love from everyone and everything that you will connect with in the future. And then last but not least, the unconditional divine love from your best possible future self. I think allowing yourself to realize that you can be on a track to be the best you can be, that there's no effort required. All it takes is your intention, that right there, that'll start softening some of this tightness that has been held in there for a long time. I generally advocate gentle techniques for opening up so that there's not a shock to the system.
You had a shock.
Uh-huh.
No, it's interesting. I mean, once you have one of those, you know,
Right.
you know, I remember there was one Thanksgiving we were having a dinner. I said, you know, please let me get all the lessons I need, but don't make them too hard.
That's what I do,
I'm not that, you know, I don't deal with those things so well.
That's what I do too. I say, give me messages in threes so I can start noticing there's a pattern here, and then I know, oh, it's for me. It's like when the phone rings 3 times, like, oh, that's for me. That's not some message for someone else. That one's for me. And also, I intend that things are gentle, so I'm learning from a hangnail, not something landing.
It doesn't
on my
have to
head.
be traumatic
No.
and hit by a car.
We can
You know,
have
I
fun.
think as discernment comes and as, you know, sophistication with that experience, and the more we rub up against it, we know it better. So it doesn't take having to go way outside the pendulum
Right.
to have that experience
but
of
usually-
coming back to the center.
And that lesson typically takes the form of it going beyond what we think we are, leaving some of the comfort zone behind. But so many amazing things happen, and that's what makes it fun for me. These reality shifts make it fun, you know, and the stories that I hear from people that are experiencing that as well. I love that.
No, it's beautiful. So, you know, interesting enough, as we're coming to the end of the show, it's really amazing how fast an hour goes by.
Yes, it is.
It really is. So if you want any information about anything, the art project, Cynthia, the book, please contact me, Alan, 805-687-2053, 805-687-2053. Cynthia's book is Reality Shifts, and it's magnificent, and the stories in there are fantastic. The art project is infinite, it's inclusive. Please join us, please collaborate with us. Good night, we love you, thank you. God bless.